if you went to Chicago, that's the Chicago School of Economics right there. I mean, that's good stuff. And so many people, they have no idea about the economy. They have no idea about the way taxes work. They have no idea about, they just don't. They think, oh, well, you know, the government doesn't have enough money, let's raise taxes. They don't think about the consequences of things, because economics is not the study of business, it's not the study of money, it's the study of human action and the effects that our actions have on the world around us. So they really don't understand this, and I think it's so important for them to know. I really, really, really wanted to teach it, but in order to teach it, I would need to get my bachelor's degree, get a master's degree, get a PhD. I don't know if I'm really up for that. I really, really, really want to write. I don't know if that's going to happen. Basically, I want to do something that can help other people and make me happy, all while being able to make a living. I don't need to be making a lot of money, just enough to live on. And as long as I can do that while fulfilling the other two qualities, I'm happy. But like I said, I would love to write, but it's very hard to find a publisher. I mean, you look at the writers nowadays. Look at the Twilight series. Stephenie Meyer cannot write. I don't care what anybody says. She's a horrible writer, and she got a publisher, so why not me? But, you know, have you read those books?
No.
Okay, she's not good.
How did your yeshiva education prepare you and not well prepare you for life?
It didn't prepare me, but luckily my yeshiva education was not my education. People always say to me, how do you know all this stuff? You went to Beis Yaakov, and I just tell them Beis Yaakov was not my education. I am. I guess what Beis Yaakov gave me, and also what the prior school, Akiva, gave me, I guess what they gave me is probably an understanding of Judaism, an understanding of Hebrew. I wouldn't have been able to really discuss religion if I hadn't gone to these schools. If I'd gone to public school or a Jewish school that wasn't as thorough, I wouldn't have the knowledge, and I'm very, very happy that I do have it. Regarding the secular world, they really didn't give me anything. I got that mainly from my parents and from myself. I never, you know, I was always reading real books. I never read the art school novels. I never listened to like Abraham Fried. I mean, it was always, I was kind of educating myself, and my parents were educating us. I mean, they wanted us to have normal lives, and, you know, they were always telling us, you know, read a real book, listen to real music. Don't immerse yourself in this garbage because it's talentless. I mean, that's what they would say. These people have no talent. Don't listen to them and don't read them. So I guess the school didn't prepare me so well for the secular world, but it did prepare me for the religious world. And regarding everything else, it was basically me and my family.
How was your Beis Yaakov experience? Was it overall positive or negative?
You know, it's kind of a mixed bag. I guess when I first started there, it was very traumatic. I wasn't used to being told what to wear outside of school. The prior school I'd gone to wanted us to be religious, but they weren't going to expel us if we were wearing short sleeves outside of class. Beis Yaakov would. And I wasn't used to that. I thought that was very, very stifling. I didn't like how there were so many things that, as a child, I had assumed were okay to do. I mean, still Jewish, still frum, but okay. And I came to Beis Yaakov, and they basically had this notion of, you know, everything your parents have taught you is wrong, you're wrong. I didn't like that because, again, every kid rebels with their parents, but at the same time, if your parents raise you a certain way and you're comfortable with that upbringing, to get dumped into this other environment where they're basically saying to you, your parents are full of it, nobody wants to hear that. And I didn't like that. Now, as I said earlier, once I kind of came into my own little niche, you know, it made things easier because people accepted the fact that, yes, Tova's always going to have questions and Tova's always going to be listening to weird music. Well, weird in their opinion. I don't think it's weird. But, you know, Tova's always going to be different. Once that happened, it was a much more positive experience because I was able to kind of tune out the naysayers. Until that happened, though, it was very difficult. You know, before I hit puberty, you know, you're not really developing your own identity yet. You're still a child. Once I became, you know, 12, 13, 14, right around that time, it was a lot easier because I was, you know, becoming a woman, and I was able to kind of basically defend myself. If a teacher said something that I thought was wrong and I disagreed with her on it, it was okay because I wasn't a kid anymore. So, you know, like I said, it was very difficult at first, but it got positive towards the end, and mainly positive because I was able to kind of filter out the good from the bad. And despite the fact that there were really awful teachers there sometimes, I had some very abusive teachers, actually. Despite that, I was able to step back and say, look, some people are assholes, and you just have to realize that's part of life. So, like I said, it was good and it was bad. It was mainly bad towards the beginning and mainly good towards the end, and you can't expect too much out of it. You can't expect it to be the experience of your lifetime. I know a lot of people like to say high school is the best years of your life. No, they're not. If high school is the best time of your life, what kind of a life are you living? I'm just like, seriously, like, you really think that, like, your time when you're having stupid little puppy love boyfriends and algebra class, you think that's the best time of your life? That's pretty pathetic. So, and hopefully that's not what you think. Otherwise, I just totally insulted you. But, it's just, I want more than what I had in high school. I know a lot of my friends, all their best friends are from high school. Okay, well, that's great. I'm still friends with some of the people from high school, but I want to get beyond that. I want to expand. I mean, that's not the end-all, be-all of my existence. I want more than that. So, it was negative and it was positive, and I guess that's like anything in life, you can't expect everything to be sunshine and roses all the time.
When you say some of your teachers were abusive, they were abusive how? Physically, mentally, emotionally. I had one teacher in particular who was physically abusive. And the school never called her on it because she's a Balas Teshuva who was totally irreligious and then became so, it's like I know so many BTs, they become very religious, but they still maintain this really friendly essence, and they're nice people. She's not like this. She just became a nasty person. Maybe she always was one. Who knows? She was physically abusive to me and to my classmates. She would hit us. She had students sit in her closet. If they misbehaved, she would put tape over people's mouths. If they talked too much, she did that to me once. Yes, I know I talk a lot. You do not put tape over your students' mouths. Like, seriously. I remember right before I graduated, I was going around. I was the yearbook editor of my yearbook, and I was going around the high school having different people sign it, all my classmates, the high school, the janitors, the teachers, everything. And I went to her room and asked her if she would sign my yearbook. So I'm sitting in the room, and she's signing it, and she all of a sudden asks me, so are you going to seminary? And I said to her, no, I'm going to college. I'm the only one in my class that didn't go to seminary. But and she started asking me why not, and it basically turned into this whole criticism of my existence. She was just so awful that I got up, grabbed the yearbook out of her hand, ran out of the room. I would burst into tears, and my friends were all there to comfort me, but they didn't see the problem so much. They knew I had been upset and that she wasn't being nice to me, but well, of course you should go to seminary. So it was kind of like, it's like you can't win. They'll realize that there are mean people in this world, and yet they still might agree with their fundamental values, which is kind of disturbing. And every time I see her at a simcha, she's always telling me, oh, what are you doing with your life? She doesn't say, are you in school? She doesn't say, are you working? She always says, what are you doing with your life, in this condescending tone. And she never says that to anybody else from my class. I can be standing there next to a former classmate. She won't ask them what they're doing with their life. But because it's me, it's what am I doing with my life. And it wasn't a good experience. I did have some teachers that were excellent. I had some teachers that were really, really, really good. I learned a lot from them, and they're wonderful people, and I still see them regularly, and I talk with them. But, it's really hard because you can have a really traumatic experience, and that one bad teacher can just kind of make everything tainted with their evilness. I don't want to say evil, but that's kind of the gist that I got from her. So, it's like I said, it's a mixed bag. There's good and there's bad. So, I had good teachers, I had bad teachers, but the problem with this whole system is they hire people who don't know how to teach. You go to seminary for a year. That doesn't mean you're qualified to teach. It's like they're finally starting to hire people that have degrees in the field that they're teaching, which is nice. And that maybe that'll be an improvement. But again, they hire people that are not qualified, and they hire people that are underqualified, and then the teachers prove out not only to be unqualified, they turn out to be assholes. So, what are you doing? And nobody ever would criticize her for it because she was such a mainstay at the school. She's been teaching there for decades. Nobody would ever dare to say, hey, you got to stop what you're doing. And that's the problem, because they're not willing to admit that there is abuse going on, and there are teachers who are bad people, and people who are in positions of leadership
need to understand that there are bad people out there that are harming